40 is not a deadline, but it is a door. And some of the things on the other side of that door, certain compounding advantages, certain financial windows, certain structural decisions that compound differently when made early, they don't disappear at 40. They just become significantly more expensive to access. That's the part nobody says clearly enough. Most conversations about financial decisions before 40 frame them as goals, things to check off, progress markers on a standard timeline. But the reason these particular decisions matter before 40 isn't aspirational, it's mathematical. Each one represents a window during which the decision is structurally easier, cheaper, or more compounding friendly than it will ever be again. After 40, you can still make every one of them. You'll just pay more for the same outcome. Here are the ones worth getting right before the door moves. Decision 1. Getting the sequencing right on debt and investment. Most people treat debt elimination and investing as either-or decisions. Pay off debt first, then invest, or invest while carrying debt, whichever the spreadsheet prefers in a given month. The sequencing question is more specific than that, and getting it wrong before 40 has a compounding cost that shows up clearly in the retirement numbers. The benchmark for retirement savings at 40 is 3 times your annual salary. The average American in their 40s has approximately $401,000 saved against that benchmark, meaningfully close, but only among those who have been consistently contributing. The people who aren't close almost universally share one pattern. They carried high-interest consumer debt through their 30s, while telling themselves they'd invest seriously once the debt was handled. The debt didn't get handled. The investing didn't happen. And by 40, the compounding window had already moved significantly. The decision isn't whether to pay off debt or invest. It's understanding that high-interest consumer debt, anything above 7 or 8%, is a guaranteed negative return on every dollar that isn't directed at it. You can't reliably beat a 24% credit card rate in the market. You can beat a 4% mortgage rate in a diversified portfolio over time. The sequencing matters. Getting it clear before 40, while the compounding runway is longest, is when it has the most mathematical impact. Decision 2. Capturing the full employer match, without exception. This is the most mechanically straightforward decision on this list. It's also the most commonly deferred. An employer who matches 401k contributions is offering a guaranteed, immediate 50 to 100% return on that portion of income. Not a projected return, not a market-dependent return, a guaranteed return funded by someone else that then compounds inside a tax-advantaged account for the remainder of your working life. Not contributing enough to capture the full match is declining that return permanently, not deferring it, declining it. The years when the match wasn't captured are gone. The compounding those dollars would have produced is not recoverable. The version of this decision that doesn't get corrected before 40 produces a retirement account that's substantially smaller than it should be. Not from poor investment choices, but from decades of uncaptured free money compounding in the wrong direction. Decision 3. Establishing the automated allocation before lifestyle has fully expanded. By the mid-30s to early 40s, most people's incomes have risen meaningfully from where they started. The question is where that income went. For the majority, it went primarily into lifestyle, which is a natural and not irrational response to earning more. The apartment got better, the car got newer, the everyday standard recalibrated upward. What doesn't recalibrate automatically is the investment rate. Roughly 2/3 of retirement plan participants say they don't know how their retirement savings will translate into monthly retirement income, and the same number worry about outliving their savings, significantly more than in 2024. That uncertainty almost always traces back to a savings rate that didn't keep pace with income growth. The decision to automate a specific allocation percentage, not a dollar amount, a percentage, before lifestyle has locked in at the full income level is the one that changes this trajectory. A dollar amount gets eroded by inflation and becomes a smaller percentage of income over time. A percentage grows with the income. The same discipline that built the first account balance captures every subsequent raise before lifestyle can absorb it. Getting this automated before 40, when the income is typically still rising, captures every future increase at source. After 40, the lifestyle is more established, and the behavioral friction of reversing it is higher. Decision 4. Defining the number and buying the time to reach it. Most people have a vague sense of what financial independence means to them. Fewer have run the actual arithmetic on what it requires, what the withdrawal rate is, what principal that requires, what monthly contribution at what return rate reaches that principal by what age. The decision to run this math before 40 isn't about rigidity. Plans change, the math changes, but the person who has run it knows something the person who hasn't doesn't. Whether what they're currently doing is directionally correct. Roughly 6 in 10 retirement plan participants say they are on track with their retirement savings, but that number is notably lower than in 2024, and Gen X participants are the least likely to feel on track at 54%. The people who feel on track almost always share one thing. They know their number and they're watching the distance close. The people who don't feel on track often don't know their number either. They have a vague sense of being behind something, without knowing exactly what. Defining the target before 40 gives the most productive decades of earning and compounding a specific direction to move in. Decision 5. Getting clear on housing costs as a percentage of income, permanently. The housing decision is the single largest financial decision most people make. It's also the one most likely to be made primarily on emotion, social comparison, and the limits of what a lender will approve rather than what the numbers sustainably support. The standard guideline, housing costs at no more than 28 to 30% of gross income, exists because above that threshold, the financial structure becomes fragile. Emergency funds erode. Investment contributions shrink. The margin that should be building options disappears into the cost of maintaining shelter. The version of this decision that doesn't get right before 40 produces the defining financial trap of the 40s, a mortgage that technically fits the income but leaves almost nothing for everything else. The 40s are a financially demanding decade, with mortgages, childcare, and tuition competing for dollars simultaneously. The people who arrive at their 40s with housing costs properly sized relative to income have margin for all of it. The people who stretched into maximum borrowing power in their 30s find the 40s structurally constrained in ways that are difficult to unwind. Decision 6. Building 3 to 6 months of liquid reserves and leaving them alone. This decision is almost insultingly simple, which is probably why it gets deferred. Cash sitting in a high-yield savings account generating 4 to 5% doesn't feel like a financial strategy. It feels like money waiting to be deployed somewhere more productive. What it's actually doing is functioning as the structural layer that protects every other financial decision from being derailed by predictable unpredictability. According to a Bank of America study, the average 401k balance was $92,142 in March 2024, with contribution rates up slightly to 6.6%. The people who consistently maintain that contribution rate through market volatility, job disruptions, and unexpected expenses almost always have a liquid reserve that converts those disruptions from financial crises into manageable inconveniences. The people whose contribution rates dip and recover over and over. Their retirement accounts reflect that volatility. The emergency fund isn't the investment, it's the protection on the investment. Decision 7. Making a genuine assessment of insurance coverage. This one gets less attention than it deserves, and it has a specific relationship to the threshold of 40. Life insurance, disability insurance, and adequate property coverage are decisions whose cost structure changes significantly with age and health status. A 30-year-old in good health can lock in term life coverage at rates that a 45-year-old cannot access regardless of health, because the actuarial math has moved. The window to make these decisions cheaply is open in your 30s. It begins closing at 40 and closes significantly faster after that. The person who never locked in coverage before 40 often faces either meaningfully higher premiums after, or the discovery that health changes in the 40s, which are not uncommon, have made coverage more expensive or more conditional. This isn't a dramatic decision, it's a mechanical one. But the cost of not making it before the window moves is real and compounding. Decision 8. Getting serious about the gap between income and net worth. Income is visible, net worth is not. And by their late 30s, most people have built a reasonably clear picture of their income trajectory without building an equally clear picture of their net worth trajectory. These two numbers can diverge significantly and quietly. A person earning $120,000 at 38 with $45,000 in net worth is not financially ahead. They are financially behind in a way that their income conceals. The income looks like security. The net worth reveals the actual position. The decision to calculate actual net worth, total assets minus total liabilities, including mortgage balance, student loans, car debt, credit cards, before 40 is the decision to confront the real scoreboard rather than the visible one. Most people find the number more surprising than expected, in both directions. The person who finds it lower than expected still has time to change the trajectory. The person who never checks doesn't know there's a trajectory to change. Decision 9. Establishing the financial architecture of a potential partner relationship. This is the most interpersonal decision on this list, and the one most consistently avoided in financial planning conversations because it feels like relationship advice rather than financial advice. It is financial advice. The financial consequences of misaligned values, undisclosed debt, incompatible spending philosophies, and uncoordinated financial systems inside a long-term partnership are substantial and well documented. Couples who don't discuss financial goals, don't track combined expenses, and don't maintain shared visibility into their financial position accumulate financial damage that operates independently of individual income or discipline. The decision to establish shared financial transparency, shared visibility into both incomes, both debts, both accounts, both credit scores, before 40 is the decision to build the financial structure of the relationship on accurate information. The alternative, which is common, is two people making individually reasonable decisions that add up to a collectively incoherent financial picture that nobody fully sees until something forces the accounting. None of these decisions are exotic. None require specialized knowledge, unusual income, or financial sophistication. They require a specific kind of clarity that the years before 40 still provide. Enough runway for the decisions to compound meaningfully, and enough structural flexibility to make them without the full weight of the 40s falling on them simultaneously. The 40s arrive carrying mortgages, children, aging parents, career transitions, and the accumulated consequences of decisions made without full information in the decades before. The people who navigate the 40s with genuine financial options are almost always people who made these 9 structural decisions while the windows were still open. Not because they were disciplined in some extraordinary way, because they understood that some doors close quietly, and they walked through them before that happened.